This will be the orientation to our Math 1107 course, remote, from 29 June to 16th August, meeting Monday, Wednesday, Fridays from 11 to 1 p.m. in the summer 2 session of 2023. For this term, we'll be using a software program, Hawks, for our 1107 course. Hawks is set up in a Learn, Practice, Certify and looks like this. Once you get into the textbook, and you'll have an access code and sign in, and we'll go over that a little later. And once in the textbook, the lessons are listed. And then as we do them, the learn, the practice, and the certify. Now, the learn I do on my end in what I call a flipped classroom lesson. I'll go over that shortly with you. You can do some practice, and we do some practice as part of our remote class, but there'll be a work period, and what you don't finish during this time, you'll do outside of class time, which is the certify. Now, the way I've set this course up, as I've done the last few years, is a flipped classroom model. Now, some of you may know what this is, but maybe not. And what it is that before you come to class, you watch a series of video lessons that I've prepared using the slides of Learn. It's sort of an oral, visual textbook, and I ask you to take careful notes of this as you view it before you come to class. Now, the good deal about this is that you can do this at your own pacing. You can go a little faster if you want. You can actually watch the whole thing again, or parts of it. And through repetition and study, hopefully master the material needed for that particular lesson. And as a check on this, later what I do is I give you an open notes quiz. That's a check on these notes that you've taken. Now, you do this before you come to the remote class lesson. Now, while we're in the remote class lesson, and we do use some notebooks that are graded, and I will have sent these notebooks to you by mail prior to the start of the term, and it's at no charge to the student. So what I've done is I've purchased some of these composition booklets. I put a label on it. There's a rubric that we follow for it, and this is where you can actually write the score that I'll tell you down. Normally we're checking these in classrooms, but we'll be doing yours online. Now, inside on these notebooks, there's a little message that I'll read to you as you watch the flipped classroom video, and they are Learn slides. Take careful notes. Highlight the titles and the example numbers. Put question marks by those you have questions on. And we will use these notes, just as they're written, to give you an open notes quiz. Now, I viewed these lessons myself and taken notes and used these notes for the quiz questions. And I'll show you what a quiz looks like. This is what the first page of your notes might look like. We're starting with topic 1.1, and these are the actual notes that I took. Going on to a second page, I've written big. I kind of follow the lines, but notice I've highlighted topics, highlighted example numbers. And as I mentioned, once you are in the lesson, this is what you'll see. Now I've used the Learn slides as this outline video that I presented to you, and you are to take the notes on. And then there is Practice, where I've created another notebook that you'll get, and we review some of these practice items. These are pretty much the same as what you'll get on the Certify, which is what you do as part of your homework. You can do more practice, but you need to do the Certify. And this is what is 25% of your end of term grade. And I'll go over this in some detail. But let's take a look at the notebook. And this is what it's like. And I'll send this by mail along with the other notebook prior to the start of class. And I've taken the practice from the software, put it up on my computer, take a screenshot, and then have done this booklet. So in class, we do this practice as a review of the work that you've done as you viewed the flipped classroom lesson. This is what the practice screen looks like, where they'll give you an example. And the key to this part, which is so tremendous about the software, is if you're not sure of something and you're doing this on your own, there is a tutor bar down here that you can click on, and it will further give you reference to solve this particular example. Now, this is a screenshot of what the Certify looks like. You'll notice there is no tutorial bar. Here you are to do it, and then as you get them correct, this bar at top here fills in, and this is 25% of your end of term grade. And there is a motivation to get it done, because if you don't do it by the due date, you don't get full credit for it. So getting it done by the due date, 100%. Each day past the due date, there is a penalty, a loss of points, until if it's after 1 week late, it's 50% of what it would have earned had you done it on time. Now, if you go to the upper right corner of this screen and click on the circle with an I in it, it'll take you to a pacing chart that I've made specially for this course. And each of you will get, well, I'll send you what it looks like since we're not meeting in class. Now, an important part of any course is the grading. I don't grade students. What I do is keep a record of what you do. And in a sense, you make your own grade. Now, having a good video notebook of our 2 notebooks, that's 10% of your grade. And to this, I add the oral essays. Your average of your quiz scores that you take pretty much each class day, get it turned in by that evening. It's open notes based on the notes and the lesson. That's 10%. Then your certification that we've just spoke of, which part of it will be done during our class and part will be done that you haven't finished after class, is 25%. That's a quarter of your notebook. And getting it done by the due date gives you the full credit for this. Again, the motivation is there's a penalty if you get it done beyond the due date. So you need to be attentive to this and get that full credit. Then we have 4 tests. And the good deal about these tests is if you don't do well on the first shot at it, I will let you get a second shot. And the final exam is 25%. Now, where are these lessons found? Well, actually, I've posted them all to YouTube, but also your direct way to find them is in Canvas. And I'm going to go now to our current term in Canvas to show you where they are. I'm on the charger page of UNH. I'm going to this icon here, that's for Canvas, clicking on Canvas, and as it opens, the course I'm currently teaching this term is an 1108 that I'll use as an example of where you find the lessons. And as it opens, you go to what is called modules, click on modules, and then these are where the learn lessons are. Now this is for 1108. 1108 and 1107 are very similar. 1107 has a few additional topics. Otherwise, they're basically the same course. So let's say you're doing 2.1. In your case, you're doing 1.1, and that would be here. You click on it, and I'm doing so now. And what it does is it links to YouTube, and I'll click on that. Would like to welcome students in Math 1108, starting in Chapter 2 work. I'm Professor Paulin. We follow a certain protocol. Today we're going to do Learn Lesson 2.1. When we're in a Zoom mode, we would have a waiting room and chat with students. But what you're going to be doing is in a notebook similar to this, you're going to be taking notes on the Learn. And we want to feature the title. And then as we do the lecture notes, you put them there carefully, and then in some detail, write out that particular lesson. If you have a question, put a little question mark by it. Then in class, we do a classwork notebook practice where part of the program of the software Hawks is a practice. I made copies of some of the examples, and then as our classwork, we'll be doing this, and you'll be writing these in as part of our class. So, with that brief introduction, we'll get started. Okay, that was a little bit of what your Zoom class is like in a sense. This is where I will be doing the Zooms with you, and you'll be starting with lesson 1.1. So again, you do this before you come to class, view the video, get some good notes, and then we'll do the review in class. We'll give you some time to work on homework. Then we'll do the other part of the lesson. And then once we finish the lesson, you can go and take the quiz. You can do this at your own time. Just has to be turned in before 11:59 p.m. of that evening. And you'll see those come up on Canvas as O Open Notes ONP. Open Notes ONQ, I should say. Open Notes Quiz. Okay, and let's look at what a quizzes look like. Well, basically, it's a shot of what, if I had you in class, I'd put this up on the screen, and in your homework log booklet there, you're going to set up a page of an answer column, and it's 1 through 10 and a bonus. And I'll show you a picture of this too once we get into our Zoom. And then the questions are there, and you write the answer, take a picture of this page, upload that file to your computer, and then load that computer into Canvas. I have a video, and I will actually put another circle with an eye in it that goes over the protocol for turning in these quizzes. Okay, well, you've seen a little bit of where we hold the Zoom classes in my little home office here. The director asked that we tell you a little bit about ourselves. Well, I was a former high school biology teacher in Europe working with the Department of Defense dependent schools for many years, but I taught basically biology, but would also teach math classes. That gave me the background to do these courses. There's a picture of me on the uh, flight line there with an F-16 in the background. There's a picture of me when I was 16 years old with my first automobile. It was a Buick four-door convertible, 1938. I was active in scouting for many years. In fact, this fella on my right here was one of my campers, my summer camp. I'm an Eagle Scout. And to wind this up here, this is, if you have a question or a concern, just email me at this UNH email address, hpaulin@newhaven.edu. And I'm very happy to respond to questions or concerns that you might have. Again, the idea of the flipped classroom is a good idea because the lessons are there. And you can do this throughout the day and evenings or whenever. Get a little bit ahead so that when you come to class in our Zoom, you are ready to do the examples. And if you miss a Zoom, there is actually the lesson available for you online that you can pick up. Okay, well, good luck and God bless us all.